Good morning. Good morning. I'm Cynthia Hoven, and this is the third of our lessons in the study of verses for the calendar of the soul in this winter springtime and a deeper immersion into the consonants. I'd like to welcome you to the study, and let's see where we go today. It is the end of February, the last day of February 2023. And here in California, we're having a nice blast of cold weather. And for a moment, I can almost forget that spring has already come to us several weeks ago. Right now, I feel with you, like we're doing in this verse, we are in this winter darkness. So this week, we're going to continue with the verse that we've been doing from the calendar of the soul for the week in January. And then we will also, I hope, be able to take a short look at the verse that we're going to culminate with, the verse for the week before Easter. But we'll do a couple more verses in between to go deeper into the calendar of the soul. Today, we're going to start with our warm-up exercises and then do consonants again and learn some more consonants before we go into the calendar of the soul verse. And now, before we begin, I'd like very much to say a few words about our study of the consonants, about our work in Eurythmy with the word, the creative word, as we learn the sounds, the gestures that belong to the sounds. And you'll notice that I don't say the movements that belong to the letters, because that's not our consideration in Eurythmy. We're not speaking about letters. They refer to the glyph that we use to write the letter. We're speaking about the dynamic sound, the sound which is we speak as humans as we exhale and put movement into the air, into the etheric space. And with this, we actually are dealing with one of our most divine, God-given forces to be able to work with the word, the cosmic creative word. And when Rudolf Steiner started Eurythmy, someone said, "Oh, will this be a new kind of dance?" And he said, "Oh, it won't be dance. In Eurythmy, we will speak." Now, I have long asked myself, or long ago, I asked myself, how can I do Eurythmy in such a way that my gestures are really speaking and don't just look like a beautiful movement in space, flowing, gracious movements? How can I do Eurythmy movements so that they really are speaking with the same intensity that my mouth speaks when I put words out of my mouth? So again, what are these sounds? These sounds are the elements of movement that live in the etheric world all around us. And I told you on the first week, we can trace this back to the spiritual teachings that say God created the world through the word. And this word consists of these sounds. And dear friends, we all know that this divine word has been entrusted to human beings, and we're just killing it with our modern habits of speech, swearing, using it casually, using it without respect and gratitude, using it sloppily. Whereas, in fact, we should use our speech to imprint real meaning, the essence of our soul, spirit, intentions, thoughts, reality into our environment. Can you imagine if we were all speaking truth into the world with consciousness of the gift of speech? What kind of movements would exist in the space that we live in? Now, Rudolf Steiner began the Eurythmy by teaching these consonants. And he told the eurythmists they should go outside into nature and look to see if they could see how the consonants are living in the things that they see in nature. So they can see, like I've already indicated, is the sound that makes big, bushy, round things. And for instance, is the sound of things that are rolling around and so on. And L, and just think, if we could change our way of perceiving the world into slow motion, we would be able to see how the plant unfolds in time. And we could see, obviously, that's an L, out of the earth, the growing forces and the unfolding forces. Or if we could see how the flower seems, the blossom holds these forces of budding and then sprouting into life. And if we learn to transpose our perception into understanding the sound quality behind what we're seeing, we would understand what eurythmy really is in the etheric world that we're surrounded with at all times. And so as you learn these sounds of eurythmy, notice that we don't take as much time as we could in these lessons to go really deeply into repeating a sound experimentally, experientially, so that you can deepen your practice. But I would like to invite you to take your time in your personal practice to explore, where do I find D and what is that doing in me? What is that doing around me? Take your time to get to know the sounds of eurythmy. And then when you do a poem, try to speak meaning into your poem. When we do artistic eurythmy, we can do all the sounds of a poem in very agile, flowing movements. But for you as beginners, I am creating a very simplified journey through the sounds of a poem so that you can really find the meaning that permeates through a whole line of the poetry. So again, with the consonants, we learn the sounds that have made the natural world around us. And one more picture, if you could imagine seeing an embryo, and let's talk of a human embryo growing in the mother's womb, all of these formative forces are happening in and around that embryo. And so when the whole world has been entrusted to this human embryo, it can be born into the outer world. Again, we are created out of word, all the sounds, and then we are born into the externalized world. The world speaks around us, and in us, we become the bearers of word. So with that, let's begin our practice. Take a good stretch. However you like. And in standing still, let's remember our first orientation. Feet together. You are a spiritual being, born out of the word. That word still lives in you, in your heart. Stars above your head. Hold you upright and let the light from that star shine down into your crown, through the length of you, and into the center of the earth. You are that light. And open your arms wide. You are connected to the world around you. And now remember the invisible dimension that we don't have arms to show, but in front of you is the world of the senses, the visual space, and behind you, a world that is initially darkness, because we can't see it, but to our spiritual eyes, it is light. It is the world of origins which created the world in front of us. And in our spiritual practice, we illumine it. Drop your arms. And now, knowing that you carry the microcosm and your place in the macrocosm, let's do our initial exercise, the contraction expansion. Open your arms wide and feel that this opening extends through the whole sphere that you're standing, and bring that space into your heart. Within my heart shines the light of the sun. Within my soul weaves the warmth of the world. I will breathe the light of the sun. I will feel the warmth of the world. Light of the sun, pour into me, and warmth of the world flow through me. Feel yourself connected to heaven and earth. Feel your heart open and sensing space. Now let's remember these directions of space and place yourself in your room so that you can take a few steps forward and a few steps backwards. And let's do this contraction and expansion exercise in such a way that we move forward with a few steps when we contract into the sense world, feeling that we're being born into this world, which to our eyes is bright, to our spiritual self is the world of appearances, dark spiritually, in contrast to the light-filled creative world behind us. So we're going to do contraction, expansion. Again, now you stand in the middle. Spread your arms wide and take a few steps forward. Bringing your hands to your heart. This is you in your embodied life. And now a few steps back. You in the light-filled world of spirit. You in your embodied life. In that sense, it's dark, although in the sun-filled days, it doesn't feel dark, but your heart knows that it's enclosed in the sheathes of the world. And open so that you can see spiritual light, even if you're in the world. And again, within my heart shines the light of the sun. Within my soul weaves the warmth of the world. I will breathe the light of the sun. I will feel the warmth of the world. Light of the sun pour into me, and warmth of the world. And this is this last line. Find your middle place where you started. Warmth of the world, flow through me. And let's remember that we've always spoken about this middle point as the point where we're in perfect balance with the stars, with the widths, with the front and back space. This is a space where we really feel the ego, the self. All right, let's begin looking at consonants. In preparation, remember that we're working with our shoulder blades, as we've been practicing already since this first lesson. All of the consonants are born out of our shoulder blades, which are, if you will, our stunted wings, as the vowels grow out of the heart. So free up your shoulder blades. Every movement that you do with the consonants derives from the shoulder blades, and from there flows out through the arms. And in fact, as we learn the sounds better, we learn different consonants are emphasized in different parts of the arms. For instance, the G and the K in the upper arm, and the M, as we've learned, with the lower arm. And these actually correspond to the way that the word is sound in the mouth, and also to their zodiacal correspondences. So sometimes, as you know, I indicate a relationship for you. Let's begin now with the sound L, the most dominant of all sounds that really teaches us about life and light and love. Always the L starts at the sides. Even if you do it small and start at the sides, here we are. Feel your shoulder blades. And we go down with this rounded movements. And lift, finding the growing forces. And at the top, and not before, we open the arms in a beautiful unfolding. And again, light. And if we like, because we're doing the calendar of the soul, we can remember this is from autumn into winter, winter into spring, and spring into summer. Summer's unfolding, and the leaves fall into autumn. L always brings the cycles of life. One more time. Good. Let's contrast that with the sound that brings darkness, depth, and in its extreme depth, the sound B. Yeah. And again, using your shoulder blades. So you've got a tension back there, not just in your hands, and pressing down ever firmer into gravity. Duh. And notice how at the end of the D, you stand even straighter and more light-filled than you did when you start. And again, down, light and dark. Yes, and this contrast surrounds us at all times. And our research question is, how did human beings, by their capacities of perception, use a word that begins with D to describe death? They could not call death lead. The L doesn't belong in the death word. So as we learn to make words come alive, we can only stand in awe at how different sounds carry different wisdom in the sound quality. All right, enough words. Let's move. I'd like to alternate L and D. Go down and transform it into light And now, darkness. And again, light. And dark. Let's take a few steps back with the L, just a little bit into the light-filled spaces behind you and into the dark and drear places in front of you. And again, using your shoulder blades, light and darkness, bringing real meaning into your body movements. Light. You are a vessel for the word. And dark. So when you practice it at home, do this many times to just make them as real for yourself as possible. Let's now go on to learn more sounds and also the sounds that we've already practiced. I'd like to take next the sound H, which belongs to the heights and heavens and hallelujah. We've done a little bit of that already. Again, it starts with the shoulder blades. And as if you are light as air, to do this, we must learn how to develop an etheric movement. I am not exerting my muscles at all as I unfold in the H. I am as light as a dandelion puff. And I am just expanding into the etheric world. The heights of heaven. Again, the heights of heaven. And once more. Good. Stay here for a second because sometimes we do the coming in. Let's try both of them, but we don't usually do a coming in. It likes more this. The sound of the wind. A gust of wind, and then what it creates afterwards. Leaves fly a little bit. Good. Once more. And rest. Good. And let's take another sound that travels on the wind, the sound F. It's actually a fiery sound, but it's got it's pure movement, the F. Let's pull our hands back, pulling the shoulder blades back, and we're going to shoot the F across the room and out through the walls. Pull the F, your arms back, and I'm doing two little Fs with this. They're wonderful exhaled breaths, like puff, puff. And again, far away, far, far away. And we can do the F in different directions. We can go down. Again. And again. Remember, in our practice, we are trying not just to make fun movements, but to speak these sounds into the air. That's what you're attempting to do. And sometimes you'll do it better when I'm not here and you can just do it on your own. Let's try shooting it through the ceiling too. Again. And again. Good. In the poem that we're going to do for the week before Easter, there's a phrase that says, farthest heavens. And so when we work with that, we will try to make a gesture for it with an F and an H. Their streams from, let's try it, F upwards and H upwards. Their streams to us from farthest heavens. So before you move it, think of the heavens and how far away the sources of light and love are. We touch them. Don't look up. Keep your face here, but feel up. Streams from farthest heavens. You learn with that to feel the space behind your head. There are streams from farthest heavens. And rest. Good. Let's do also the M, which we've already begun working with. And remember, the M comes from Aquarius, which is marked in the forearms and the shins and the calves. And pull your arms back, your shoulders back, and feel initially here the forearms. And with the forearms, press into space. And there comes a point where you have to unfold your arms the rest of the way. And do it so gently. Turn your arms. You can already feel your forearms here, pulling back into space. There we go. That's this gentle M. M. And back again. M. And forward. M. And again. M. A sound of connecting. And rest. The M can also be done down and up in your personal practice. Play with that. I'd like to also practice with you now the two-handed M, in which we have a stream going forwards and one going back, playing together at the same time. So start with one arm back, and that arm that's in the back is always facing forward, and one arm forward. And they come towards each other, through each other, and beyond. And the essential thing in this interplay is to feel the breathing. Sometimes I speak of breathing, I mean the etheric breathing, not necessarily the inhale and exhale of your lungs, but the etheric breath. And a sound of deep connection. In contrast to that, we'll do the sound N. This is the sound of separation. Instead of lovingly connecting yourself, with the N, you pull away from it, which we have in words of negation. No, never, not that. No. Speak it, please. No. You hear that in the beginning, you touch, you lay yourself into sound. No. And then you have that quick breaking open. No. On the tip of the tongue. No. And in movement, that is made visible in the human body with this feeling. I reach into something that's a no. 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 And at the end of the no, you see how I stop abruptly, stand really straight. No. 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 Thank you. And rest. So that was M and N. Let's go back to the G and the K that we learned last week. As I said, these are born out of Sagittarius, which is the upper arm and the upper leg, power points in your limbs. With the G, remember practicing speaking that in your throat. And with the G, we're going to push resistance aside. G. creating an open space, opening a door here, feeling my tension, and go. We sustain the tension in the arms until the door that we're imagining is opened. Go. And then we hold it open. We don't continue. Again, what in nature does this? It's going to be your research. Go. Where are things open like slow doors in nature? Go. And once more. Go. Perhaps you've seen a cow get born when the birth canal has to open. That's a mighty squeak. And now the sound, hey. Also done with the upper arms, but instead of slowly opening, we crash down into the world. From spirit into resistance, decisively shaping the world. We can say that this is a sound of condensation, as if out of spirit you are making crystals. So carve them out a little bit. Many things for you to play with in your personal practice. Let's do now this beautiful sound B and its partner sound P. Remember, with the B, we give a lot of tension to this. It's such a beautiful Eurythmy sound. You feel yourself clothed in yellow. And you imagine a great blue cloak of the heavens that you wrap around yourself. You are, well, and we think of the flower bed embedded, the flower bud embedded in the calyx, right after the calyx. Well, or it's so easy to think of giving birth to a child or holding the child in the womb as it grows. Well, the B is all about protective sheaths. Well, even as your body holds you. And the partner sound is the P, where instead of drawing that sheath around you, you reach out and pull the trees from the sheaths, if you will, from the stars. Lift your arms wide, feel your shoulder blades touching two stars over there. Pull them to you like this. And two lower stars and lower. Good. But as you are working to make it come alive for you, you can also think of walking through an orchard. And there are trees on each side with apples. Oh, oh, pull them to yourself. Oh, and more. Oh, 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 yes, and more. Oh, oh, and more. Oh. And as an after effect, feel what that does to you. You should do that with all sounds in your personal practice. What has it done? You feel squeezed. You've been pulled in and given your shape. All right, a little bit more out of the D that we already did today. Let's do the T. This majestic sound, one of the very strongest. Start with your arms open and spread them to the depth, to the width, to the height, and take the power of the Lord, the power of spirit right into your crown chakra. And in response, we stand very straight. Again. You are built out of the world, created, shaped, and formed. Again. And again. Absolutely divine form. Spiritual sound. Good. And I'd like to do one more sound on this preparatory journey, the sound S, the sound of snakes, serpents, sin, if you will, and the sound of Scorpio, which is the sound of death and resurrection, of deep magic and transformation. And the S can be frightfully misused. The power of the Scorpio, the power of the magician, the power of sex can all be frightfully misused or wonderfully used in service. And it all depends on our capacity to go into the depths and transform the world, to stand in integrity as we live in this world of snakes and sin and so on. We use the power not of avoidance, but the power of transformation, of engaging and holding it with our presence, our ego presence. So when we do the E, we always need to have the upright ego in the center. We'll start with the simple E, the simple S that we did last time. Take one arm, lift it to the widths, and then do a curved line, drawing the S in space downwards. Very simple, very schematic S, but it's training you to have real power. You must be very straight when you do this, and nothing is sloppy and gushy. It's, on the other hand, right from the start, you've got muscle control all the way through the arm, or better yet, etheric control all the way through the arm. Let's try both arms. Again. Again. And again. Good. And now let's also go up with the S. So we will begin by crossing here at the bottom. And then we cross in the middle. And then we cross at the top. When we have crossed, and the arms have to move through the other side. Then we cross and finish. Again, we cross across the midline. Now each arm is working on the other sides. Uncross. Each arm is on its own side. Cross. Uncross. Again. Thank you. And there's so much that you can do with your personal practice with the S. I'd like to now, as our next step, practice a word, 2 words that are in our poem that use the sound S. And I'd like to do it with sound combination. And one of the most common sound combinations in English is the sound ST that we have in the words strong. And so think about strength hear that sizzle in the S and then the T. What do they mean? That's our journey as eurythmists. This is a word that carries power. We will ignore for now the ring part of it and just do the ST part, putting two sounds together. So we're going to start here and we're going to do a rising S and culminate in a T. Yeah. But do this with a real consciousness of what strength is. So this, instead of doing the T from the outside, we do a T right through the center for this word strength. You bring that power into yourself, or strong. Strong. Because our poem says it is the strong endeavor of the soul. So when you do that word, you try to bring all of that meaning into it and more. Wrong. And once again, wrong. Relax. Good. And I'd like to do one more word in its full, or adding three sounds in this word, and that's the word spirit. And I'd like to do it at the S and the P and the T. So with this, we ask ourselves, how does the human language spirit understand the concept of spirit? It has this S quality in it. It's very strong, but it's also something that we pull in from the periphery, and it's something that we embody. So that's our journey with a sound, with a word, to understand what lives in the way that it lives in our language. And then when we use the word spirit in conversation, we have a whole different apprehension of its divine worth. So down, pull the P in and the T. Rest. This time we only do one P, not a whole series of three Ps. Again, all the snake power of the spirit, bringing in the nobility and again. And again. Spirit. And feel that uprightness in yourself. All right. With that, we've done a lot of sounds: L, D, H, F, M, N, G, 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 T, and S, and then put some sounds together. And again, I encourage you to shape your own personal practice, not merely with doing these wonderful verses that we're doing, but with creating your own intensification, immersion into the spiritual value of sounds. Now let's turn to this verse that we're doing for the calendar of the soul and see how we weave meaning in the Eurythmy journey. So this verse, once again, that we're doing from the middle of January speaks. It is within this winter gloom, the strong, there's your S, strong, the strong intention of the soul to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses revelation. And that senses revelation is, of course, what we're going to end up with when we come to the end of the poem with the springtime opening. That's when the flowers have all opened. But now we're feeling what lives in our human heart as we long to go out of the darkness. And the question is, what do we take with it? All right. So let's try to remember first the sounds that we've been working on for this, and we'll make it a tiny bit more complicated because we have a few more sounds to work with. So we start with gently. It is it. There's a little E, just a little one. It is within this winter gloom. Now let's do the word strong. The strong, and with the D, we're going to ground ourselves. The strong endeavor. Now we'll do an O, which we haven't practiced together yet, but many of you know it. The strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power, to manifest its innate power. Pull your power to yourself, to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness. L and D, to lead it into darkness. And feel the premonition. Oh my goodness, there's much that we could do for that one. I want to do an F and an M and feel a very soft F. Feel an M, a premonition through a warmth of heart. And now the word senses. And now that we've worked a little more on the S's, I want to do this S of senses, down and up, revelation. Let's do that several more times. Watch the screen as little as you need to so that you can really work on making your own sound experience. Wrong movement here. It is within this winter gloom, the strong endeavor of the soul. M and P, to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness, and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation. Yeah. And again, going deeper and deeper. Remember, it's not your physical movement that counts. It's the meaning that you pour into your soul and that you put into your etheric body, which finally creates the physical movements. But we're working on many levels now. Maybe you can sense that now. It is within this winter gloom. You know what you're going to say, and you express it through your bodies. It is within this winter gloom. The strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power and lead it into darkness. Feel a premonition through, feel your own heart dreaming about spring through warmth of heart of what's going to happen. And this revelation. What meaning do we put in that big S at the end? I put the meaning how spirit is magicked into matter. Spirit forces become the manifest world. Right? And again, it is within this winter gloom, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation. So in your personal practice, by all means, you can do this again and again, work on one line, work on one word, work on one sound to deepen yourself into bringing meaning into movement, just as we bring meaning into life. When you practice the sounds, don't make them unnaturally slow. You can slow them down a little to practice, like you could do a slower D to see what happens. But in general, we want to make them the same feeling like with an exhaled breath. So you don't want to do a sound like a slow motion movie, but with the power that we use in speaking. All right. Let's turn to the sounds, the form that we've been working on. I try to place this as well as I can so that you can see the board. There we go. Okay. And I know that most of you have been here for all these weeks, so you know the sound, but let me trace it out. Okay. We start here at the back of the room and start with a forwards line. We're coming from light into the heart of the winter darkness. Going forwards, it is within this winter gloom. Now you're going to go back here, pick up your whole self so you can spiral in. The strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power. And all the way in, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darknesses and feel a premonition through warmth of heart of, now straight line back, this blue senses revelation. Once again, it is within this winter gloom going forwards. Now, the spiral, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power right into the heart of your soul to lead it into darkness, and feel a premonition. And then just the tiniest of forms here, almost no form, a little curve in your center through warmth of heart, of senses revelation. All right. Like I did last week, I'm going to turn my back to you and imagine that I'm teaching you in a class and I'm trying to help you by leading you through the form. So just follow me. You don't have to do any compensation for right or left. Just come forwards and we all feel that we're going into darkness. I won't use my arms yet. It is within this winter gloom. Now I know that my soul is back there, my soul position, so I make a circle, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power. I'm in my core space to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation. Okay, I'm going to turn around and I'll do the same thing as if I have you in front of me in a class, and I will go in the same right and left direction that you go, as if we were in a class. So you're starting in the back of the room and you come forwards. It is within this winter gloom, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation. In doing a Eurythmy poem, the time always comes when you have mastered or internalized the poem and suddenly it seems so short. Although in the beginning, it seems like a huge mountain to climb. For me, it's reached that point. How about for you? Let's try it now with the sounds. It is within this winter gloom, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation. Again, it is within this winter gloom, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation. Yeah. And again, it is within this winter gloom, the strong endeavor endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power, to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation. And the last time together without speaking the poem. Because, as I've told you, the eurythmist never speaks the poem. I never speak it for myself when I'm practicing. We are speaking with our limbs so that we don't separate our etheric intention into two chakras, if you will. We just use the body and the mouth is quiet. Thank you. Are you ready for a little bit more? Read. When we do poems in eurythmy, we generally prepare the space with a little prelude form, a prelude form that corresponds to what the story is going to be about. And I would like to offer you that in the simplest way possible. So I would like your prelude form to be this simple, that you start in the back of the room and go forwards and back 3 times. And do that with the sounds D and L, feeling darkness and light, darkness and light, darkness and light, 3 times forwards and backwards. And then when you begin the poem, it is within this winter gloom, you will have already set the space. And then we also end each poem with a after resonance form. And they are usually very, very complicated forms, but we won't be complicated. We'll make it so simply. And I'd like you to end, you're in the back of the room. You've just done senses revelation. And then I would like you to end by going once more around your whole circle, doing the sound S and A for senses revelation. That's simply.
Dear one.
I'm sorry, you didn't see that one.
There you go. And you can scoot it a little bit toward the window.
It's in a minute. Okay. So I'd like you to have it, L, D and L, D and L, D and L. Okay. For the preparation sound. And there we go. Okay. So you're starting at the place you've always started. And you will begin the form by going forwards. Darkness. And backwards. And light. And you feel I'm going to tell a story about darkness and about the light that's coming. Light. And again, I'm going to tell you about darkness and light. Now begin the poem. And this time when you go into the darkness, you have more to say. It is within this winter gloom, the strong endeavor of the soul to manifest its innate power into the darkness again, to lead it into darkness and feel a premonition through warmth of heart, of senses, revelation, and go around your circle. Stay. And rest. All right. And now, as I promised, before we close, I'd like to take a moment to look at the next verse, or the verse that comes the week before Easter, which we're also going to work in some depth. And then we'll do some other ones also more lightly, but we'll do the Easter one, week before Easter. So these rising forces culminate in that week. The verse speaks, and our first journey is to listen. What's going to happen when I'm no longer in the darkness? The verse speaks when, from the depths of soul, the spirit turns towards world expanses and beauty swells from space expanses. Then streams from farthest heavens the life force into human bodies, unites with mighty action the spirit essence with the life of man. Man is, of course, non-gendered in this poem. It's not men, it's the human man. Again, so try to see if you can feel, when does it go back and forwards or wide? When from the depths of soul, the spirit turns towards world existence and beauty swells from space expanses, then streams from farthest heavens the life force into human bodies, unites with mighty action the spirit essence to the life of man. So how will we place this in space using these principles that we've been working on? When from the depths of soul, we're going to have to linger in the heart space or an outwinding spiral. When from the depths of soul, the spirit turns towards world existence. We need then to do that line in the light-filled spaces. The spirit turns towards world existence and beauty from swells from space expanses. We want to be so expanded there in our periphery, right? Then streams from farthest heaven. So we're going to have to go back to farthest heaven and pick something up to stream. Then streams from farthest heaven, the life force into human bodies. We'll bring this all the way to the front of the room where our human bodies are. And then we'll make a little circle there, unites with mighty action. And we'll go back, the spirit essence, and bring it forward to the life of man. So our time is coming to an end. I'd just like to prepare that with you once more and see if you can contract and expand with these words as I read them. Recontract. When from the depths of soul. Now we feel spirit. The spirit turns towards world existence. I open up wide for that. And then stay wide. Beauty swells from space expanses. I'm more wide than up there. Yeah. Then streams from farthest heaven, the life force into human bodies. Stay down there. Unites with mighty action. Back to spirit, the spirit essence with the life of man, or with human life, I could say. Once more. When from the depths of soul, the spirit turns towards space, expanse, existence, world existence, and beauty swells from space expanses, then streams from farthest heaven, the life force into human bodies, unites with mighty action, the spirit essence to our human life. Thank you. So next week, we will work with that much more intensely. We'll start working the form for that as we prepare to leave January behind us. And we will also look at one of the verses from February, which give us that picture of what happens then. So let's end our class with hallelujah and then take a few moments for questions and for me to say a little bit more about how to practice. In gratitude for our lives and with goodwill towards all the suffering people of the world. Take a moment to be conscious of all the people around the world who are here in this lesson, in this hour, and realize what we are offering to the world in our practice. Thank you very much for being here. And let's, again, for your personal practice, take some time to immerse yourself in learning how to be so present with your consciousness in your etheric gestures. Practice the sounds again and again. They are a bath. They are a path. And these are also forces that are living in your body that have made you And the more you practice them, the more you're discovering who you are and what has made you. It's a real communion with your spiritual sources. So thank you very much, Michelle, for co-hosting this. Thank you very much, everyone who has donated, who makes this possible. It's a lot of work involved, but I'm so grateful to do this. And